Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, please. And I also like to give a special thanks to my Patreons that help support this channel and my journey. And remember, folks, it's just whiskey. And today, I'd like to give a special shout out to Whiskey Straight Al, who recently reviewed Shackleton blended Scotch. And also Whiskey Lock, who reviewed this Shackleton about 6 months ago. So if you watch those two reviews, you don't need to see mine. So you can just shut this off right now. I hope you don't, because I have a little something extra to offer, I think. All right. Today we're going to be talking about and reviewing Shackleton blended malt Scotch whiskey. It is a White and Mackay product, and the master blender is the infamous Richard Patterson. Okay, this blend, Scotch blend, comes in at 40% ABV. It is definitely chill filtered, and very likely a little bit of coloring added, although not too bad. And it is a non-age statement. Okay. I read a couple of blurbs on here because it's interesting. By endurance we conquer. Okay. Endurance is the name of the ship that in 1914 Ernest Shackleton, with a crew of 27, sailed to the Antarctic, and we'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. And then there's a quote from Ernest Shackleton that is embossed in raised lettering on the back of this bottle. I believe it is in our nature to explore, to reach out into the unknown. Quote by Ernest Shackleton. Okay, so this blend is a tribute to and supposedly a recreation of the original Scotch that in 1907 Ernest Shackleton took on his first expedition to the Antarctic. And so again, it's Shackleton blended malt Scotch whiskey based on an antique blend of McKinley's rare old Highland malt whiskey. And it's called The Spirit, supplied to the 1907 British Antarctic expedition. Okay. Before we get into this, a little bit more about Ernest Shackleton. Ernest Shackleton was a British explorer and a man's man and a natural leader, and arguably one of the greatest natural-born leaders in history. So in 1914, they sailed from a crew of 27 on the ship Endurance, sailed from Britain to the Antarctic to try to get to the South Pole. A ways into their journey in the Weddell Sea, the ship Endurance that they were on slowly became crushed by ice floes, and eventually the crew of 27 had to abandon ship and make their way with 3 boats, which they had to drag. They were about 22-foot wooden boats, drag with all the provisions on ice floes, and it took well over a year, about a year and 100 days, before they eventually reached land. And Ernest Shackleton, once they reached land, took the best of those 3 lifeboats and made his way to civilization to get a rescue boat and come back and rescue everybody. It is arguably one of the greatest human adventure survival stories of all time. The book is called Endurance. I highly recommend you read it. It is extremely well written. It is an awesome read. And the author of Endurance is a man named Alfred Lansing. And my understanding, he actually interviewed some of the survivors, and collected diaries, and it was his life's passion to write this book. It was written a long time ago. I think he started in the 1940s and finished it in the 1950s. If you hear any noise in the background, we have two new kitties. If you like the book Endurance, which it's one of my top 10 favorite books that I just finished reading, I highly recommend a book by Nathaniel Philbrook called In the Heart of the Sea, which is inspired and based on the true story of the whaling ship the Essex from 1820 that sailed out of Nantucket. And the crew of that expedition weren't so lucky. The crew of the whaling ship Essex resorted to cannibalism just to survive. And there were a few survivors. And in the heart of the sea, that story of the whaling ship Essex was the inspiration for the book Moby Dick. Okay, so highly recommend the Endurance book. And also, wrapping it up before we get into the review, in March of 2022, so just several months ago, a commissioned South African icebreaker ship went in search of the sunken Endurance ship, and they found it 10,000 feet on the bottom of the sea, sitting upright in pristine condition. Now, yes, it was crushed by the ice floes in 1914, but the conditions in the Weddell Sea and the Antarctic were able to preserve this thing. And they didn't take any artifacts off it. They sent robots down and they filmed it and they took photographs. You could Google that and actually see a small clip of the wreckage that lies in the bottom of the Weddell Sea in the Antarctic. So I just finished reading the book, and a good friend of mine and neighbor named Mitch, he's a very thoughtful man. He wanted to get me something he knows I like Scotch. So he saw this on the shelf and picked it up for me, and we've made quite a bit of headway in here, and I've shared it with lots of people. And now we're going to finally get to the review, folks. All right. This retails for between $36 to $40. So let's, for sake of argument, it retails for close to $40 for a non-age stated 40% chill filtered colored blend Scotch whiskey. All right. On the nose, perfume, floral, honeydew melon, honey, vanilla. On the palate, watery, light, delicate, but there are some nice flavors in there. It's slightly sweet, slightly bitter. It's got some fruit notes in there, that honeydew melon, a little bit of apricot and pear, a little bit of honey, with a pinch of salt, with a pinch of sea salt. The finish is short with a slight pepperiness to it. It is enjoyable. It is a pleasant drink. I think anybody would like this. There might be a hint of peat in there, but it's not a peated Scotch. It's a Highland blend. In my opinion, this is a swing and a miss. In my understanding, originally when this came out, there was a special release at a much higher ABV, I think around 47%. That's long gone. This could be so much better. We say it all the time, but this in particular, because the man Ernest Shackleton and the story of the Endurance is such a great testament to what humans can endure and achieve. And that's why I say it's a swing and a miss, because this really has some nice flavors in here, but are just really watered down. This really would benefit. This could be a home run if they went 46% ABV and didn't chill filter it. And if they added a little color, okay. So that's my biggest gripe with it. And also the price. You know, you're paying $40 for this. And for $5 more or $10 more, you can get so many better, well-presented scotches. What am I going to score this? In my opinion, this should be priced more at $25. So in my opinion, it's $10 to $15 overpriced. So my score on this is going to be an 81. If this was priced at $25, $25 to $30 even, okay, I might give it an 82, maybe an 83. But for the price, I think an 81, 82 is being very generous with it. Although there's nothing wrong with it. It seems to have a decent age in here. I don't know how old it is, but it doesn't taste overly youthful or overly spirity. It's got a lot going on. It's just been really watered down, and I don't know why. So that's that, and a quick little vignette about the Shackleton Endurance expedition that left Britain in 1914. Just a few days when they were out to sea, they discovered a stowaway that a couple of the mates had kind of snuck them. And, of course, Ernest Shackleton got wind of it and demanded to talk with the stowaway. And he brought the stowaway up, and he's pointed at him, and he said, "If we get shipwrecked and we're starving," he goes, "you're going to be the first person we eat." And that's kind of set the tone, I think. But I highly recommend reading the book Endurance. I can't say enough good things about that. So again, special thanks to all my Patreons, and another, a shout out to Whiskey Straight Al. I'm gonna call him Big Al, and check out Whiskey Lock's review of this as well. Okay, folks. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's just whiskey. So, hats off to you all, and take care, and endure.